All right, we're live. So today is game day for bottom eight. We've got Chris and Joe as usual. Um, let's just do some training updates before we get started on the bottom eight stuff. Joe, how's your training been going?
It's been going good. It's nice not really worrying have to be a certain weight or anything, or just watch how much any of the intake is. So yeah, it's going good. Nothing really on the on the near future for competition wise. So yeah, it's just full speed ahead.
What's your training priorities right now?
My priority right now is training my cup. I feel like I've kind of lacked a little bit in that right now. That's my main priority. If I don't know if that's what you were wondering or not, but yeah,
You should prioritize side pressure more.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
like cupping with side pressure, I guess.
Right.
Like being able to cup and go with But yeah, you're right. That it's definitely side pressure and working cupping and then just all the angles involved with going sideways with a long lever because it's not exactly easy to just smash sideways with a super tall puller.
Mm.
All
Well,
right, Gobby. Yeah, go
it's easy to do it when you have hand position, right? Side pressure
Yeah,
with hand position, regardless of the lever, is a lot easier than without hand control. So I just did legs, some central nervous stuff this week. My last big training, well, not even big. I think I did some military press. I think Saturday, Sunday I did some static containment stuff, and then I shut it right down. Um, I might have done a day of core and stuff, and then the rest was just lower body. Did some tire flips just to get blood flow and stuff like that. Nothing, not going to failure or anything. Just stuff like that. So I feel pretty good. Containment wise, my right hand's never been, in terms of defending, it's never been a better hand in terms of its defensive numbers in the gym. So regardless of what happens today, I can say that I brought my hand up to a place it's never been in terms of gym, and it's been verified on the table. Last practice I had, the heavyweights couldn't do anything. They couldn't come out of my containment. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm positive or not, but I'm definitely very positive and very happy about the training leading up to it.
And what's your weight?
I think it's about 168.
Is
Yeah.
this
are you,
the best Gobby we've seen?
No, well, no. My you'll never see my right arm ever do good stuff again. It's only there's too many bone spurs and it's taken on too much damage. It can have good days and bad days. The left has still its best days to come. I think the left has so much untapped potential. I feel the right's kind of like hit its limit, and I can get little parts here and there. I can increase hand strength, and I can get wins off top rollers. But I don't think you'll ever see my right beat a really, really, really strong inside puller. My left still can. The ceiling on my left is much much higher, and it has um, yet to be seen. So I'm always a lot more optimistic with my left.
And you are left-handed?
Ambidextrous, technically.
Okay.
but do you
Okay.
right left-handed?
Right left-handed. I swing. I hockey stick left. Play hockey left. Swing baseball right, and I golf left. I right right-handed. So it's a combination of both.
So you swing a bat, but would you throw a baseball left-handed?
I bat left-handed. I throw the baseball right-handed.
That's fucked up.
They can do every. I can even write in high school if I had to. I can write with my left. It's not as legible, obviously, but I can write with my
Bobby can
left.
do it all.
What's that?
I said you can do it all, man.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm the man. Yeah,
Uh, that's weird. Different people being right and left-handed with different things. It's always interesting to
yeah.
hear the different quirks.
But
That's interesting.
I can tell you that if I never ever heard of right-handed, left-handed, or how you're born, I think you can. If we take that programming out of our mind, I believe we can do whatever we want with whichever arm or hand we want. I think we're limited in we always
Yeah,
use it. We always use the right. But if you decided to shut down your right, let's say you broke your arm and it was in a sling for 8 months and all you did was left, you'd be left-handed. when you come out of that sling, you'd be left-handed. Your left would do anything your right ever had to do, assuming you had to practice it during your hiatus.
That's so cool. I
think
like thinking about that stuff.
Yeah, so I think we limit ourselves psychologically when it comes to right-handed, left-handed. What makes a puller dominant with one arm or the other is not whether he's right-handed. I believe it's because it doesn't make sense because 90% of pullers are right. 90% of all men are like 95% are right-handed, yet 45% of all arm wrestlers are left-hand dominant. So what happens is what it comes down to is attachments, connective tissue attachments and stuff like that. I believe.
Okay. Any injuries during training? I mean, any issues? Any things you had to modify from your game plan initially?
Yeah. So I told you I was going for a PR in my lower level, my lower containment shaft thing, and my highest weight I think was 114 or 118, and that's for like a 6-second hold. I try not to do any holds under 6 seconds. It doesn't really make sense. So I upped it to 122, 126, and I tried 130. Now my right was able to hold it for I think. That's a video I sent you. I think I held it for about 8 seconds, and then it just came loose, and I went right to failure. Now my left, the only part of my left that's weaker than my right is the bottom containment part of my hand. It's the only part. So I did the same weight with my left when I really should have taken some weight off, and it was like a 3-second hold, and it broke loose on my middle knuckle, and it just tore. It didn't technically tear, but it pulled something between my middle knuckle. And it just it's been inflamed all week, like almost to the point where I can't comfortably close my fist. It's much better today. It's progressively getting better, so I'll be able to pull left with it without any issues. So that's not really an injury. It's just note to self next time I do PRs with the hand and shaft work and holds and stuff.
Dial it down with the left.
Yeah, keep it above 6 seconds or lower the weight. That was dangerous.
So are you pulling the open tournament too?
So I got Ryan first round, and depending on how far I go, and every round is a best out of 3 out of 5. Then I have a left-handed super match with Ryan after the tournament.
Okay.
The Australian guy, I don't know the guy, and we've had issues before. So I said I'm not pulling Ryan unless that money's in someone's account or in someone's hand, because what I know from people, collecting a guy from 4 blocks away is hard enough. Never mind a guy across the planet. And I didn't want to. I don't like chasing for money, so I said. So he said, yeah, he sent the money to Ryan, so the money's going to physically be there. So that means our left-handed match is still going. And then barring some, but it's free to pull. So barring an injury, I'll pull both arms in the lightest weight class as possible. I think it's 190 with the left, and I think 165 right. I might be 165 when I get on the scale. I'll see.
190 is the lowest class for left.
Yeah, so lefty's doing 0 to 190, 191 above, I believe. And right, there's 3. And right, there's 0 to 165, 166 to 200, 201 above. So it's all fucked up. But there's no entry fee to pull. It's freedom. And so I'll pull, barring a bad injury, both arms, just because first place is 100 and there's no entry fee to register. So fuck it.
Have you ever done freedom shit?
Yeah, I don't mind freedom. I think it's. I mean, I would never advocate it. But for me, my personal style versus longer levered pullers, I think it's right in my wheelhouse, because
there's no pads. There's no elbow pads.
Let's say let's say you have enough back pressure where you can make me maybe, because my elbow is always starting at the end of the pad because of my short arm. So if you have enough back pressure where you can make me elbow foul twice, you'll beat me. But all I need to do is stop the match. Now on a freedom table, I can chase you 12 inches to your side, and now as long as I'm stronger than you, like if I'm only 2% stronger, it won't matter. But if my side pressure can really fuck your shit up, but all I got to do is chase you, you're in trouble. You'll run out of territory, and I'll just engage all my major parts. So I don't mind freedom. I don't think it's good for the sport, and I don't like new people pulling in it. I don't even like, to be honest, I don't even like watching it, because every match is like you can have 4 or 5 minute matches where guys are walking around the table, and it's just, I don't like it.
That's the hard stuff to watch, right?
Yeah, I don't. It's not the future,
shifting.
and I don't advocate it. But Devin's done a good job getting really good sponsor money and getting good stuff for this. So I'll support it. I don't mind, and I think, but for me personally, the way I pull, there's a less chance I can injure myself on a freedom table than on a regular table, only because I have much more elbow management, maneuverability type things. So it's whatever.
Okay, let's talk a little more details about what you just discussed. So bottom 8, right? 8 contestants, tournament style. Each round you said is best of 5.
It's 3 out of 5. We had an issue. Well, I had an issue because the first round is all set. Our opponents are set. Now, in the second round, it was supposed to be the winner of me and Ryan going against Juji and Beaver King, and then Artem going against Craig or Evan. That's what it was supposed to be, and I didn't like that because what would happen is, in that scenario, is Ryan gets the lightest guy, me, and then Ryan probably gets a novice / amateur arm wrestler in Juji, all while Artem has to battle, or Laba has to battle a beast. So what the way that was structured is right in Ryan's wheelhouse, and I didn't like it. So my idea was the lightest contestant going into the second round, so whether it be me, Artem, he would get to pick his next round opponent. But what Devin did, and I actually think it's better, is the rule Devin made is Juji, the winner of the Juji Beaver match, which will be Juji will pick, of all the 3 winners going into the second round, he'll be able to pick which one he wants, be it Ryan, me, Artem, or Laba, which is good because Juji gets to, and Juji has a coach there, so they'll be able to navigate the second round a little bit better. And apparently Juji has a huge following physically and also internet-wise. And so I think Devin wants him to go as far as he possibly can in the tournament because it'll up all the YouTube clicks and all that shit, all that stuff. So apparently there's like 8 live feeds going, 7 or 8 live feeds going. Should be interesting.
Oh, it's going to be insane.
Yeah.
Is the bottom 8 event, is that Freedom Table?
No, fuck no. I would. There's no fucking way. No, it's not. It's straight up arm wrestling, straight up rules. There are no deviations. If it was Freedom, well, I mean, I'm getting paid to go. I would do it. But if it was Freedom, it would throw everything. It would throw everything off kilter. Freedom is really, and you can't put the Beaver King and Juji, who have never seen a Freedom Table, on a Freedom Table.
No,
You can't
agree.
have a cash pro tournament on a platform that pro like you and Herman have never even pulled on a Freedom Table. Like you can't. Like, would you go to a tournament? Maybe you would, but would you pay, or would you be in a cash tournament against your caliber opponents, high caliber opponents on Freedom? You probably wouldn't put yourself never pulling on a Freedom Table. It doesn't make sense. So no, to answer your question, the tournament's Freedom. The bottom 8 tournament itself, the bottom 8 aspect of it is standard.
Yeah, I thought your question was going to say, would I compete in the bottom 8 on a Freedom Table?
No,
yeah, I'd have no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a medium 8 guy all the way, Herm. Don't downplay yourself.
Oh God, I love that. That's the next. You know that now. You just opened that box.
You know, like lately they're like, "Where's Gobby? Where's Gobby?" And Herm and I get into it now and then, but it's kind of funny because it's kind of like the X-Files, where I don't know if you remember the X-Files, but David Duchovny always had these wild theories, and they're like, "You're wrong," and then he was proven right. So every episode, they're like, "Oh, you're crazy," and then it turns out at the end of the episode, his paranoia was true. So with me and Herm, I go against his theories on training, on a lot of things, and he's always fucking right. And he said, what did he say? Like 2 months ago, he says the bottom 8's gonna lose steam. And like even me, I've been like, man, the trash talk is like, let's just get this fucking thing over with, right? So even Herm was right on that shit. So it's like, let's just get it over with. But yeah, there's been a lot of crap and.
Dude, I think the idea behind the excitement and the social media, I think all of that was spot on. But man, it ramped up way too early.
It was 3 months, 2.5 months out, maybe more, and it just
they peaked.
You know, the thing about top trolling, good trolling, is it can't be forced, and timing is everything. So they're like,
it's not good trolling if it's forced.
Right. So it's like, oh, you put a video. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Oh, you put it. I don't care. Like, and then I get on, and Gobby just came. I just got out of jail the other day, so I put Jolt on the shelf, and I brought out my Gobby shoes, and I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, I'll hit a couple of guys. I'll do some trolling, but it's like, you know, it's fuck. You know, it's yeah. Let's just get the polling done right now, and let's see where everyone stands.
All right. Let's do predictions, I guess. All right, Joe, Gobby versus Bowen.
So it's 3 out of 5. So the first guy to 3 wins, or the first guy
3.
to 2 wins? Okay.
First guy to 3.
Okay. I'll go Ryan 3, 2.
Okay.
I want Chris to win, but I gotta be real.
In my presence, always be objective. I don't need any biased bullshit.
Oh, I know. But I doesn't mean I don't want you to win.
No.
Dude, I think you you get hammered a lot for it, but there's a lot of people who want you to win.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: rule set, WAF, WAL
Yeah, that's
style.
what I was gonna ask. Is it WAF
No,
rule?
I'm really hoping it's not wall, WAF. My biggest fear, and I was thinking about this last night, is if Devin, because Devin sometimes like he has tournaments and he throws hybrid rules in there, and if he decides to do wall, I'm in a lot of trouble because the problem with wall in the when the is when you close your own hand, what happens is, and I watch it 8 times out of 10, someone's covering someone's knuckle. Now that's so cool if two guys are looking to slip and go high, they'll always go to strap. But I'm gripping low and looking to contain. So as I'm closing my hand, Ryan's able to rise on me and get over my knuckle. I'm fucked every time, and that's what happened against last when I pulled in wall in 2014. I just got, for the first time in my life, I was getting top rolled like easily. So if those are going to be the rules, I'm in a lot of trouble. I'm hoping it's regular standard, uh, referee placements with the referee's grip.
Does Devin normally use WAF rules, or I mean,
Yeah, yeah. His tournaments that I've been to have been loose WAF, but when I talk, it's been WAF. It's been the conventional ref's grip with his fair strap deal.
is that most Canadian events are WAF rules?
Oh yeah, 100%. Canada is notorious for sticking with very, very traditional rules. Our nationals are old school traditional rules. Yeah,
All Joe's events are old school rules, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. As far as I know, yeah. So I'm hoping it's that. If it's wall, I'm in a lot of trouble, especially with a. I mean, Jeff Hale top rolled me. Could you imagine Ryan Bowen? Oh, fuck me. Like with that length, with his length, I mean, I'll have zero chance.
Well, and he's 230, P6'1", 230 pounds.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see.
Dude, what happened to the Ryan of 165?
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
so
so Joe,
really, I have no pressure going in here. Like, there's no pressure. I mean, for me, I put no pressure on myself. It's all gravy.
I
But
love being in that spot.
yeah. Um, your predictions, Herm?
I'm going Gobby 3-0 with a reasonable setup.
Nice.
I think it can be done. It just has to be a fair setup. I don't know if you'll get it though,
Yeah.
right? Because if you set up in a normal position, he's going to have to dump his riser. He's going to have to drop his arm. I mean, and I pulled someone like you, like a Simon Barry Ochoa.
Yeah.
It's very awkward. You can't do anything that you would normally do in a setup against someone your own size or someone in your weight class. And I don't think Bowen's at that level that he'll be able to adjust or have just a straight arm or side pressure to roll over you.
Yeah. If you look at my history, I've never ever lose to predominant style top rollers. What I lose to is a guy with a good top roll who also has side pressure and a hook like Vazkin. A guy that can open me up but also finish me with side pressure. Like if you look at Dan Blanchard at Michigan State, he's a top roller. He's not really a hooker. And I stopped him and went through him. And I find Ryan's a little bit like that. Ryan's a straight up top roller. If Ryan had a lot of side pressure, I'd be fucked because he can just cut me, and then that's my biggest weakness is a strong cup with finishing side pressure. So theoretically speaking, it favors me only because my history tells me I never ever lose, and even going up to guys heavyweights, I don't lose to guys that need pronation to win a match. Now, if you need a little bit of pronation and you have strong side pressure, I'm in trouble. But guys that just have that one avenue of that back pressure avenue with pronation, they rarely ever favors well for them. So unless he's really strong on side pressure. Now I talked to Paul Lynn. I've talked to some guys that some guys have told me he feels like iron. Other guys tell me he doesn't. So I really don't know what to expect. But really, what I try to do going into something like this is just, did I bring my best attack plan and training wise? And I did. So I'm happy with that. And
So who said he felt like iron? Paul Lynn?
on Facebook, I read on a comment that albeit Ryan was quoting it, that Ryan's hand felt like steel. So we'll see.
But dude, okay, so look, I love some Paul Lynn, right? But Paul's one of those nice guys.
Yeah.
Paul would grip up with Joe, put Joe in a hook, and then tell Joe he felt super awesome, super strong.
Dude, well, I am Herman. Come on, fuck.
Yeah,
but right, I mean that's what would happen.
No, I know you're right. No, you are. You're right.
Dude, you're the next Brzezinski. You're feeling great. That's what Paul would do. So, I'm going to dismiss that.
Yeah, but anyway, we'll see.
So, did you? Brendan said that he would smoke him. Did you see those comments?
Yeah, well, Brendan's a different animal. Brendan's a different animal from Ryan. If Brendan and Ryan had a match, Brendan would kill him. I mean,
yeah, but Brendan pulled Paul, right? Like last year or a year ago?
And he played around and he messed around enough where it went to straps. And then once Paul was able to get enough control, and it didn't take long.
It was a war, right? Am I right?
It was a war, but Brendan was in a very vulnerable position with the strap. And Paul, you can see that Paul won via side pressure. The knock on Brendan, he's a very crafty, versatile arm wrestler. But my crack on guys like that is, unless you have side pressure, you cannot compete with top guys. And Brendan has never beaten a top puller. He's never beaten Paul. Paul was his test. He lost to Paul. Now, he lost to Paul a year and a half ago. Imagine Paul now. Paul's like twice as strong now. Now he has a super match with CJ Twine. For me, CJ Twine is a very strong amateur puller. CJ Twine is not a very refined, technically sound arm wrestler. I think his left is very strong, but Brendan's the type of guy that'll take a guy like that right out of his power just on technique and the nuances and the setup alone. So that doesn't impress me. He can beat CJ Twine and it means nothing. I want to see him, So
how do you feel the current Brendan would do against the current Blue?
Brendan would kill Blue.
Okay, that's what I thought.
My read on Brendan is he's a 3, a solid 3. But he's an amazing arm wrestler with low-level pro power or medium. He's not a powerful arm wrestler. He needs to get things. He needs to have things. He's not like Herm, where you just engage with side pressure and pin 90% of his opponents. He's not like that. He has to be crafty. He's got to be able to manipulate the setup a bit. He's got to get what he needs. Ryan, to me, from what I've seen and what he's proven, and until he proves me wrong, he's never beaten anyone. His claim to fame is he took Justin Bishop's wrist back in his strap, but then Justin just went straight side and pinned him. That's his claim to fame, and that's because Justin had the buckle. So I believe Ryan's a 2. Ryan's a 2 at 230
wasn't
pounds.
That a fair strap setup or no?
Well, I don't know. I just think Ryan's a number 2, Brendan's a number 3, and and they're both roughly about 220, 235, whatever. Brendan's might be about might be 10
either way to
10
see
pounds heavier.
All right, let's go back to the predictions.
Yep.
All right, Joe. Leba and Artem.
Artem convincingly 3-0.
Man, I don't know. I haven't really put much thought into this. Can Leba just flop and just put his whole body on him?
No.
Artem's a smart arm wrestler, and he's got, from what it looks like, a lot more power recently.
And Leba doesn't have a hand.
Well, he does, but he has to have a ton of pronation before he makes any side movements.
He's gonna dump his own wrist and then flop himself, I think. All right, I'm going Artem 3-0.
Yeah, I like Artem only because he's a much, 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 much better arm wrestler. His angles, his positioning, his adjustments are much, much better than Leba. But then again, those dummies last night, they were all together in an Airbnb and they started arm wrestling. I saw videos of them arm wrestling, left-handed, and they all worked out and did dumb stuff that you shouldn't do a day before a cash tournament.
That's what I thought.
I have third-hand information that says Leba. Devin was struggling with Laba's left, like working. But this is after pulling Brendan for hours. But who cares, right? It's all hearsay and bullshit, and who knows how fatigued Devin was. But Artem's just what Laba's never proven to beat any top names. Artem has taken down. Hold on.
But he was giving Devin trouble left-handed. So I might have to challenge Leba to a match. I mean, like, so Leba's a 4.
You cannot
versus Laba.
you cannot be tiered based on practice pulling. So it doesn't matter. No, he's still
Practice
a 1 or
wins
a 2.
die.
Yeah. But so Artem, for me, Artem it's the biggest clear cut, and I don't care how much weight he's giving up. But who knows, man? Who knows? That's
All right,
why.
Joe. Beaver and Juji.
Gosh. I like you, Beaver King, but Juji, easy, 3-0. Dude, he's a strong-looking dude. Both of them are really, kind of, for Beaver, but Juji it's got way too much. It's going to go inside. It's going to be easy.
Yeah, I'm going 3-0. I mean, the Beaver King's what, 73? He's older than George?
He's old. He's actually 58. He's 160-ish pounds, and his table his tournament here. But here's the factor. I don't care about those things. His tournament experience. He has 0. Now he says he won college tournaments. He's won nothing. He has zero arm wrestling experience. So just based on that alone, and Juji has more arm wrestling experience than him, is bigger, stronger, younger, and Juji was trained by James Rodriguez. Like there was a video of James showing Juji some stuff, and Juji's not going to get flopped open by him. Juji isn't going to get beaten in a hook by him. Juji, that's your best money bet right there. Is Juji on Beaver 3-0. That's your money bet right there.
Where does the Beaver King live?
Where does he live?
Yeah,
he lives I think in North Bay, Ontario, which is. See, I'm coming from Quebec to Ontario to that tournament. It's like a 4-hour drive. He's coming north to south, and it's like an 8-hour drive. So he's up in the fucking where it's winter 8 months a year. Like your summer is 2 months long, and it's like 65 degrees max.
Okay, so he lives in the wilderness somewhere.
Yeah.
Joe lives 30 minutes outside of Minneapolis.
Right.
How does the Beaver King have 10 times the internet speed that Joe has?
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
He's got to be government or something.
My theory is Joe's bullshit. My theory is Joe's bullshitting us. I think he's on a real tight budget and he pays for the fucking bare minimum, is what I think.
Hey, dude, I can show you anything that you want. Like, you want to watch the test speeds? You've seen them, man.
For those that don't know, Joe's operating on 2.5 megabits per second. So go check your speed compared to Joe. It's amazing what this guy has accomplished on the internet with such poor internet service. But
that's the last 5 years now that it's been like that. So
next match, Craig and Evan. Joe.
We'll go Evan 3-1. Only because I think Evan might get really cocky one time and lose the match, but from what I've seen, Evan's a smart arm wrestler, and he's gonna have too much, a lot too much.
So is Craig still training?
Yeah, my theory on Craig is he hasn't been punching out these fucking dumb training wrist curl videos. I think he's been keeping it quiet and training really, really, really hard. My favorite to win it all, or specifically that match, was Evan. But the more I think about it, Evan is the strongest man in this field. Might have the strongest wrist flexion, might have the strongest bicep, might have the strongest side pressure coming from his delt and chest. So, obviously whoever wins that match is the favorite to win the tournament. But I'm favoring Evan only because he's so tricky and refined, and Craig is vulnerable to that type of stuff. Like Craig is still not adept in a setup to protect certain things, unless, from what I've seen in the past, unless he's rectified it. But man, I'd like to see Craig win the whole tournament. Comes up from Florida. I'd love to see Craig win it. I really like. It wouldn't bother me one bit to see Craig win it. That'd be awesome. But we'll see. Evan's very, very crafty.
I'm thinking Evan 3-2 in a war.
Yeah, that's smart. That's the smart.
All right.
So did you say 3? You didn't say your prediction, did you, Chris?
I don't do my predictions. 3-1, 3-2. It's ridiculous. I'll just pick who wins. To go for how many? It's just a crapshoot.
Yeah, and I'm only managing
Gotcha.
2 brackets. I got a Herman bracket and a Joe bracket.
Yeah.
All right. So second round, depending on the bracket, it's Bowen, Artem, Juji, and Evan,
Right.
or Gobby, Artem, Juji, and Evan.
Let's go with the favorites. We'll go with favorites. No upsets. So you're going to have Juji wanting. I see. Does Juji want Artem or does Juji want Ryan? I believe Juji would, based on his James advice, he will want Artem only because Artem's lighter by 30, 40 pounds, and so Artem will beat him. Ryan will go up against the winner of Craig and Evan and will lose, and then your finals will be Artem versus the winner of Craig and Evan, and depending on how big, or Craig, Evan, and Ryan, depending on, because if Craig and Evan fatigue each other, which we all believe will happen, Ryan has the high game to kind of like lose the first match, but pump up the hand and maybe get a couple wins or really pump up someone's forearm to the point where Artem, being a top roller as well, could come in the finals and maybe dust him. So Artem is not, it's not inconceivable that he can win this thing. I wouldn't say he's a dark horse, but it's conceivable. So when you look at those favorites, that's the way I see it moving, if everything plays as it should.
Joe, you agree Artem over Juji?
Yes.
Okay, so we got Artem going to the finals. So Bowen versus Evan after a war.
The thing with Evan, he's such a good arm wrestler. He can lose his wrist and still bury him with side pressure and a strap. Evan has his toolbox is very, 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 very full.
I'd still go Evan.
Yeah, Evan. The only thing is if Evan squeaks by, if Craig squeaks by Evan in a war, and then Artem anyway, I can see like Evan can have a dead hand and beat Ryan, but if Craig has a dead hand, he's dead. If Craig loses his flexion in his hand, he does not know how to arm wrestle without his wrist, especially against a refined top roller like either Artem or Ryan. So in that scenario, Ryan can come out and potentially win because Craig cannot pull without his hand. Evan, not only can he pull without his hand, he can win tough matches without his hand. So.
Okay, so in Joe's bracket, it's Artem and Evan. In my bracket, I've got a fresh Chris Gobby against Evan after a war. What does that look like, Gobby?
God dang, man. That's
Evan's hands burnt. His elbow's tired. Can he beat a fresh Gobby that smoked Ryan?
No, he can't. Because what will get him through a match versus Ryan and Artem, if his hand is dead, is his side pressure. He has very good side pressure. Even if his side pressure is fatigued, it's enough to beat a top roller. The problem is if I'm fresh and his side pressure has been dinged and his wrist is not yet, he can't really roll me, and the match stops, he's in trouble.
That shit is interesting, Herman. Wow.
Yeah, well, I'm going into this knowing that I'm live, right? There is a chance. There are scenarios where I can come through this. Many things have to happen, but
see, I didn't know that they were doing a flip flop and you get to pick type of deal.
Well, no, only Juji gets to pick. But Juji will have the option.
I thought Artem gets to pick.
No, it was supposed to be the lightest guy. Then Devin said no, it's going to be Juji, which is fair because he's the one that brings all the. He has such a YouTube following, so you want him to go as deep as possible, and you want him to be protected. You don't want him going against Craig or Evan in the second round because he can hurt himself. He's a big boy.
No,
he's a big boy with unrefined attachment tissue. So
I also didn't know that Beaver King was only 160.
Yeah, he's a small guy. So it looks so Juji is definitely not gonna take Craig or Evan. So he's gonna have to pick between Artem or Ryan. Now I think Devin Devin ultimately, if it could play out this way, he'd love to see me and Juji, only because I'm the only puller that will not run from Juji. I will let my style against Juji. Juji will get everything he wants. He will get his chest. He'll get all his major muscle groups into that match. So and I think So you don't want a guy like that.
You'd be famous, Chris.
I don't give a shit about that. But
no,
but he he can get he'll beat the Beaver guy, and then he can get lit up, like his wrist taken right back by Artem or Ryan. But if he gets me, he will look good because it will be, maybe a 30-second hook war. Who knows? I don't know how long he can stay in there with me or defend my side pressure once I cut through. But that's good for his following if he gets into a war against a 15-year arm wrestler. That's what ultimately will give him the most views and shit like that. So, but there's so many different scenarios and so many live feeds going on and so many different angles. It'll be should be a fun day, regardless.
All right. So in Joe's bracket, Artem and Evan in the finals. We say Evan wins.
Yeah.
Okay. So Evan wins on Joe's bracket. In my bracket, we have Gobby and Artem in the finals.
Yep. Yeah, and that would kind of make sense too because me and Artem, well, it makes sense. We are the most.
Well, no, I thought you said it was Chris and Evan.
No, anything can happen.
I assume Chris beat Evan, and then we got to the finals. Now it's Artem and Gobby.
It could work out that way too. It depends on who Juji decides, or the winner of Juji and Beaverton. It depends on who they decide to pull. Can rearrange everything, but Artem.
Yeah, I've got a third bracket that we'll talk about next.
Sure.
So who wins, Gobby? Artem and Gobby. Joe.
Gobby.
Yeah, Artem's dead. Artem does not. His left hand has some good stuff, but I think he'd lose against me left. His right is a versatile arm. It can do a lot of things. But again, can he top roll me? Probably not. Does he have the side pressure to finish me once he closes on my pronation? Probably not. Is he a grinder that can stay in a hook for minutes? He's not. So unless one of those facets he has more than I believe he has, I think that favors me, even though he has a 25, 30 pound weight advantage. But we'll see.
So in Joe's bracket, I think it's pretty straightforward. Evan comes out. In my bracket, we said that Juji. Well, we initially said Juji would pick Artem over Bowen in Joe's bracket, but in my bracket, Juji, and with Devin in his corner, may choose to put him against Gobby.
Yeah.
In the second round. So if that happened, we've got a Juji Gobby matchup second round.
Yep.
Are you losing to Juji Gobby?
No. But I make it look good, like my style against his style. The fact that I'm not a hitter, I absorb and contain will make him look decent, and which will be good. But yeah, I beat him, but it looks good. Well, just no. I don't want it to look good, but just
no. I know.
I'm a defensive arm wrestler. I can pull a novice, and the novice feels like he's getting what he wants, right? It's just yeah. I think that's very plausible, and Devin would definitely want that, and so would Juji.
Yeah. So, man, I don't know. I think that's going to be tough. He might be able to take your hand, but I guess if you go to the straps, he probably won't know how to pull you.
Who, Juji? Juji?
Yeah.
No, he's not taking my hand. He won't take my hand.
Come on, man.
No.
Really?
Fair setup. He can't take your hand. I just don't know what this is going to look like.
No, Juji, he's not going to.
I do see it. If Juji picks you second round, if you get through Bowen, and Juji picks you second round, I think the fix will be in.
You're saying a 5'10", 240-pound man is going to try to roll out of my hand? Powerlifter is going to try to run from me? No, man. Devin's going to tell him to go in. His coach is going to tell him to go in just to make it look good. If he tries to run and it doesn't work, he's getting caved in right away. That's the problem when you try to roll against a containment guy. If it doesn't work, you're in a lot of trouble. You're out of position. So I believe he's
opened up most of the time.
Yeah, I believe what's going to happen is they'll approach me. If this happens, they'll approach me and say, "You want to start in a hook with Juji?" So I can't. So I can't really hit, right? Because I can maybe exploit a little bit of speed on him because he's just vulnerable to that. So they're thinking, let's start in a hook, which of course, rock and roll. But who knows? There's so many fucking scenarios what makes it kind of interesting. Who knows?
Okay, so we got Gobby over Juji, Evan over Artem, Gobby and Evan in the final. Gobby wins over Evan.
Yeah.
And that's in the third bracket?
Huh?
That's in the third bracket that you had?
Yeah. Yeah, because Juji might have selected, if Gobby beats Bowen, Juji might pick Gobby.
He will pick he definitely will pick me, yeah. His hand is safe against me. His hand is not safe against anyone else in that tournament except me. So if he wants to get into a match for his YouTube followers and feel like he's engaged and put on a show, he wants a guy that who won't take his hand. I won't take his hand. Everyone else, Artem, Ryan, any other scenario, with the exception of maybe Craig, but even Craig can have some pronation to his hook. I think he wants me. If he has a choice, he takes me no matter what, only because it's a match. And
Yeah.
it's 5'10", 240 versus 5'7", 165. Like in his mind, he's probably thinking, I'm not dead here, right? I maybe can beat him in a hook because he's not trying to lever me out. He's letting me get set in everywhere I want to get set. So that could tempt him to pick me.
Okay.
But who knows?
In another alternate bracket, Juji beats Gobby, Evan beats Artem, Evan wins. I got 4 brackets here. 2 that say Gobby wins, 2 that say Evan wins.
You don't have much faith in Ryan?
No, it's not that. I mean, I just know how awkward it is to pull such a short guy. I mean, and you're not a short level 2 guy.
No.
Right? So it's going to take Ryan, who's a level 3, to figure out how to beat a high 3, low 4. It's going to be awkward, dude. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that from experience. Like when I pulled Simon, the only reason I was able to get over him was probably because of my side pressure. Mm-hmm. I was at the back of the pad. There was no rowing. There was no wrist curling. There was no riser. There was no nothing. No. It was just side pressure and just literally just kind of rolling over his hand. It was really awkward.
Yeah,
I don't think Ryan's going to be ready for Chris's stupid hand size.
Yeah, so it just depends, how the refs are and what's a fair setup.
You laugh, Joe, but my hand is arguably in proportion to length and width. It might be the biggest hand palm in any.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, like show me another arm wrestler where his hand is 1 inch wider than it is long. Like that's fucking rare.
That's retarded.
Which means it's built to defend. It's not built to attack. Like Herm's hand is the opposite of mine. It's very long and not that wide, which is built to attack. My hand is built to defend, so it's different. But what it's built to do, it does very well. I mean, statistically, I mean, when I pulled Dan left, I needed ref grip. His left felt really, really good, but his right, I didn't even like. It just fell into my hand. His right hand, and his right hand is bigger than Herm's hand. It just fell into mine. Of course, he has a lot less arm than Herm has. That's the problem. But it just fell into my hand. It just sucked in. My hook, it just sucked. I actually gripped him much higher right, and it just sucked right in. It's the combination of elbow side pressure and a wide, very, very, very wide, thick hand with a short palm lengthwise makes it very, very difficult, and very, very strong bottom fingers makes it very, very difficult to pronate on me. You can pronate a bit, like you can get a start of your high hook, but to get enough where you can come out on me and leave, it's tough. It's very, very tough. Yeah.
Chris, have you pulled Simon?
Man, Simon's like I compare him to you. Simon and I have, when I first got in the sport, he was like my idol. He was killing everyone. He was a fucking one-dimensional diesel hook puller. I think I met him once in 2006 in Vegas, and we talked, and I was in awe of him. But we've never ever pulled. No, we've never pulled. We pulled in the same tournament, but I got outed, and he lasted longer. That was in 2006. I lost to Mike McGraw and Kevin Hicklin, right-handed, badly, and he made it to the Final Four. And I think he lost to Vern Martell. So I've never pulled him, but and I think I met him. Yeah, we met. Yeah, we met, but I've never pulled him.
Do you guys have similar arm length?
Yeah, it is and it's not. I've talked to him, and his forearm length to his upper arm length is equal, like which is rare. Most arms, the forearm is a little bit longer than the upper arm. He's equal. I'm the only arm wrestler, actually the only person I've ever met, that my forearm is only 12 inches long. From wrist to elbow, it's about 11 inches long, and my elbow to my shoulder is actually quite long for my height, which makes it terrible to top roll. But you're talking about a pry bar. My arm is built to pry down very, very hard and use all my delt and chest strength to pry down on a wrist, that's what makes my style so. My body's built for it. Yes, I love hooking and I love the theory behind hooking, but my body, mechanically, every aspect of my body, hand, shoulder, all the dimensions, built to pry down with containment on a longer lever.
So elbow to your knuckles, you think that's longer or shorter than Simon?
Shorter than any arm wrestler you know. That's
Your
not
forearm's
that's
shorter, but is your hand an inch longer than Simon's? I mean, I don't know.
no. He's got a longer hand. He's got a longer hand.
Really? Okay, so this is going to be super awkward, right? Because I think, I don't know, I would,
My
man,
my hand. I don't know
my
if I can.
arm,
I don't know if I
is
can put it,
Bowen's
but my
forearm longer than mine? I don't know.
I believe so, only because
Probably.
he's 3 inches taller. Yeah.
Yeah. So he has
He's
a
gonna
longer
have
arm. You have a
super
shorter
low.
arm, Simon.
Yeah.
Dude, if this is a fair setup, this is going to be so awkward.
Yeah. Like if you look at my hand, it's 6 inches from palm to the top of my middle finger. Yet, so that's hand and fingers in length, but it's 5 inches across the palm, just the palm. So it's a very, very awkward hand to. A lot of people say when they, man, I can't wait to grip up. He has a small hand, and when they grip up with me, they're like, man, that felt terrible. Like I couldn't get it comfortable. And we're talking about 200-pound guys saying, no, this did not feel good gripping up with him. I had to keep going low because of his thumb knuckle. I have incredibly short thumb. So not only could I not post, there's not an arm wrestler alive that can post me if I don't want him to post. So a lot of guys have to get into kind of a counter, lower, like drop their hand a bit into like a high hand, a low hand top roll rather. And so I put pullers, and the longer your arm is, the more awkward it is for you. I put people in positions that they're never ever comfortable with, because not often do you get an arm wrestler with a hand like mine, with a 11.5 inch forearm, with a boatload of side pressure once that hook gets set, going right across your wrist, because I grip low, right? So it's right across the wrist, and you feel all that weight not coming down on your hand, but cutting right across the base of your wrist, leading up to your forearm. So it's very awkward pulling me.
You essentially dad move people.
I don't know. That's why Vazkin, it's a perfect move against me, was because I don't defend flexion. I don't pronate. So if I don't pronate, that means you can rip my pronator open with flexion, which makes me susceptible to a hit. But if my side pressure is much stronger than yours, I'll stop it. My bicep will stop the match, and I can come through. But with someone like Vazken, who doesn't try to pronate first, he tries to cut across me in a high hook, and he has tremendous amount of side pressure, even for a smaller guy. He dusts me. Vazkin came up to Montreal years ago, and we had a practice, and every time we did a ready go, left I would beat him, but every time we did a ready go, he got me. But we started in a hook a couple times, and man, he couldn't, like, I felt really great with him. When he could not get a good piece of my hand, and I was able to start carved in, engaged, he was in trouble every time. He couldn't do anything. But with a ready go, his side pressure, combination side pressure flexion is a nightmare for my style.
Yep. So what's next, Gobby? How many hours until game time?
I got about 2 hours left on the road. I'll get there before anyone else. I'll mess around in the parking lot, maybe take a nap if I can, or do some trolling on Facebook. And then they start getting there around noon. The bottom 8 starts at 2 p.m. Eastern, and I believe it's going to go to 5 or 6. And I believe the official start time of the tournament is 7 p.m. And then we have a big after party at the Airbnb, going right through the night, which I'm sure there'll be tons of video and live video and all that shit they did last night. But more so because they'll be drunk, more so. So yeah, it'll be an interesting night. Yeah, it'll be a very, very late night.
What do you eat before an event?
I think it's very important to eat what you normally eat. What happens is if you eat super clean, and then you go on a road trip and you're like, well, I'll just stop at McDonald's. What happens, that greasy food in your system, you end up going to the washroom at a time where you might not go to the washroom, and it might not be ideal in an arm wrestling tournament format. So I always think eat. And because my body's not in a period of growth, like I haven't worked out in a week, I don't consume that much protein. I'll consume, like, my breakfast will have protein, but mainly it's complex low glycemic carbs is what I'm trying to get in my system, with a lot of water. And then after the tournament, I'll look to get a large amount of protein in. But people that have protein shakes and protein bars before a tournament, it makes no sense. Your body's in a state of a relaxed. It's not in a state where the muscle fibers have been torn and looking to repair themselves. So it's more about getting good carbs in your system. You don't want high glycemic, because then you're going to have an insulin boost, and then you could be fatigued when you have to pull. You don't want salty food, because you don't want to pull dehydrated. So I think it's just about getting water and complex carbs in your system, well timed. Don't overeat, and nothing. I would say nothing within 2 hours of competing. I'm a big fan of competing on roughly an empty stomach. So
That's what I was gonna ask.
If I'm competing at 2, and I believe I'll get to the table at 2, but the last solid food I'll eat is around noon, latest, and then I'll have some water. I might have some type of caffeine source, very low sugar caffeine source, like maybe not like a big monster, because that'll get you too jittery and you'll crash after an hour and a half. So you don't want that if the tournament's going to go long. But I'll have like a small Red Bull, like something that has roughly 100 milligrams of caffeine opposed to like 200, something that just gives me a little bit of energy that won't give me a crash 2 hours later. So that's usually the way I look at it. And then throughout the tournament, I'm sipping water and I'm getting hungry, but it's still just hydration. I might have like a small snack bar or granola bar, something light, nothing that's going to tax my system. And then at the end of the tournament, you go out to supper with the guys and you overeat. That's fine. Sometimes I see guys like they're finished a preliminary pulling and they're in like the semifinals and they're going to pull in 20 minutes and they're having a burger with fries and a Coke. And I'm like, man, how do you do that? And like, well, I always do that. And I'm like, fuck, I could not imagine getting into a 1 minute hook match where the whole body's just just engaged and stressed and with fucking a pound of hamburger meat and fries and sodium and sugar. Like, people do it. It's notorious. You see arm wrestlers do it all the time.
I've done it.
Yeah,
I've done it before.
What about? That's the one thing I want to ask you, Herm. Do you? What's your pre-tournament diet like, or during the tournament?
Wait, is that for me or Joe?
Yeah, for you. I wanted to ask you that last week and I forgot.
I mean, I think it's ranged over the years from massive overeating to fasting. It's pretty light. I mean, I'll probably eat, like, I might eat something on the road, like a small breakfast sandwich or something, but nuts, generally healthy foods.
Right.
It's not very dialed in, but I'll tend to undereat than anything.
Yeah, undereating with density, like just really nutritional food, is a lot better than overeating. I find pulling on feeling bloated and pulling is not a good feeling for me. I don't feel athletic. I just don't feel good at all.
Yeah, and even if I eat a half decent sized breakfast, I mean, that's going to be at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. The tournament doesn't start until 1, so I probably haven't eaten for hours at that point.
Yeah. And a lot of times when you go to a tournament in a venue and you're at a hotel and the hotel offers you like a buffet breakfast, what happens is guys just fucking eat a shitload. And what happens with that, if you're not used to having massive breakfasts and you're having, scrambled eggs and toast and pancakes and all this shit, because it's free, it's all you can eat, and then you get, you're 10 minutes away or 5 minutes away from pulling, and all of a sudden your stomach starts saying, "Oh, time to go to the washroom," and then you're like, so you're kind of fucked. So I think it's important to keep a smart routine and definitely do not overeat. After the tournament, overeat to your heart's content. Like, I think we all, after a tournament, it's fast food, it's sugar, it's whatever the fuck, caffeine to get us home, whatever. The tournament's over, we can do that. But leading up to the tournament, leading up to performing, man, I think you want to keep it fairly clean and fairly light.
Yeah. All right, Gobby, won't keep you any longer. Good luck on the event. Feel free to go live on the Arm Hub page if you got some interesting stuff going on, or you want to send in some updates.
There'll be a lot of live feeds. I don't know when I'm done pulling. I'll definitely, with the other guys, I'll probably, if my phone has enough battery life, I'll definitely try to get some of those videos up and post them on Arm Hub. Or if not, I'll try to share the better ones on Arm Hub. But either way, we'll try to get some stuff on Arm Hub for the fans.
Yeah, and then maybe we do a wrap up show or something Sunday or Monday. Yeah. That way we get your thoughts on the event.
Yeah, it should be interesting for sure.
All right, later, guys.
Good luck, Chris.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for support. All right, later.
Drive safe, dude.